In a world where Hollywood thrives on glitz, glamour, and a touch of self-importance, Ricky Gervais steps onto the stage and does what he does best, tearing down facades with his razor-sharp wit. But this time, it's more than just celebrity egos on the chopping block.
When someone says to me about another comedian, they say, oh, they're not funny. Even if I agree with them, I stand up and I say, well, you can't say that. You've got to say, you don't find them funny, you know. And I hate it when people say, that joke was offensive. I gotta say, no, you've got to say, you found it offensive.
Humor is a deeply subjective and personal experience. What one person finds hilarious, another might find offensive or unfunny. This subjectivity is at the heart of comedy, a form of art that thrives on pushing boundaries and challenging societal norms. In recent times, however, the evolving nature of comedy has sparked debates about what is considered acceptable in the world of humor. Humor, by its very nature, is subjective. When people discuss whether a comedian is funny or not, they are often expressing their personal taste rather than making an objective statement. This distinction is crucial because humor resonates differently with each individual, influenced by personal experiences, cultural background, and societal values. The idea that a joke can be labeled as universally not funny dismisses the personal nature of humor. Instead, it's more accurate to acknowledge that one simply does not find the joke funny, rather than making a blanket statement about its comedic value.
Because it's all about feelings, and feelings are personal. And there's loads of types of comedy, and comedy evolves, you know. There's a new type of comedy at the moment called woke comedy.
Comedy, like any other form of art, evolves over time. The rise of woke comedy is a testament to this evolution. Woke comedy is characterized by its focus on progressive values, often steering clear of controversial or potentially offensive material. In some comedy clubs, performers are now required to sign agreements stating that they will avoid content that could be considered contentious or offensive. These safe spaces are designed to protect audiences from discomfort, but they also raise questions about the limitations being placed on comedians.
Right? No, it's very progressive, you know. There are some clubs now where the comedian has to sign a thing saying he won't say anything contentious or he won't say anything that could offend anyone. It's a safe space for the audience. Woke.
The concept of woke comedy reflects a broader societal shift towards inclusivity and sensitivity, but it also highlights the tension between comedy's role as a vehicle for challenging norms and the desire to create a more inclusive environment. While woke comedy appeals to those who appreciate humor that aligns with progressive values, it can also be perceived as limiting the scope of comedic expression. For some, the boundaries set by woke comedy stifle the edginess that has historically been a hallmark of the genre. The comedian's personal preference for traditional risk-taking comedy over woke comedy underscores the ongoing debate about the direction in which humor is headed.
Comedy. And I tried to watch a bit of it, and I decided I'd rather watch Louis C.K. masturbate.
Controversy has always been a part of comedy. Comedians often use their platform to address sensitive or taboo topics, pushing the boundaries of what is considered acceptable. However, this approach can lead to backlash, particularly in the age of social media, where outrage can spread quickly and widely. A notable example is the controversy surrounding a joke about Caitlyn Jenner. The joke, which referenced Jenner's transition, sparked outrage on platforms like Twitter, with some accusing the comedian of being transphobic.
Can't mention him anymore. He's cancelled. Not enough to apologise and move on. You got to. And the big controversy last time I did it was a Caitlyn Jenner joke, right? Oh, outrage on Twitter the next day. And by outrage, I mean a couple of people going, it was transphobic.
However, the backlash raises an important point about the nature of humor and offense. People often mistake the subject of a joke for its target, failing to recognize that the two are not necessarily the same. A joke can reference a sensitive topic without being inherently offensive or harmful. In this case, the joke was about a trans person, but it did not target that aspect of Jenner's identity. Instead, it played on a different aspect of her public persona. This distinction is crucial in understanding how humor works and why certain jokes resonate differently with different audiences.
It wasn't transphobic in the slightest. It was a joke about a trans person, but the joke had nothing to do with that aspect of her existence. And that's the other thing about offence. People get offended when they mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target, and they're not necessarily the same.
The unpredictability of what might be considered offensive in the future further complicates the issue. Cultural norms and values are constantly shifting, and what is acceptable today might be deemed offensive tomorrow. This unpredictability makes it challenging for comedians to navigate the ever-changing landscape of societal expectations while staying true to their comedic voice.
It's live, so they go, and now your host for the 68th Annual Golden Globe Awards, please welcome Ricky Gervais. They come on, and they're all clapping, all the actors are looking up, smiling at me nervously. It's brilliant, right? So I just go, relax, I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner.
At the heart of the debate over what is acceptable in comedy is the issue of freedom of speech. Comedy has long been a platform for exploring controversial ideas and challenging societal norms. However, the increasing scrutiny over what is considered offensive has led to concerns about censorship and the erosion of free expression in comedy. The challenge lies in balancing the right to free speech with the responsibility to avoid causing unnecessary harm.
But if you're the type of person to revel in someone getting cancelled for something they said 10 years ago, you're just ensuring that one day you'll be cancelled for something you said today. You can't predict what will be offensive in the future.
The argument that a joke about a bad thing isn't as bad as the bad thing itself is central to this discussion. Humor often involves exaggeration, irony, and satire, all of which can make a joke appear more provocative than it is. In many cases, a joke might even be anti the bad thing it references, using humor to critique or expose the absurdity of a particular issue. The comedian's frustration with having to repeatedly explain this concept highlights the difficulties faced by those who push the boundaries of comedy in a climate where offense is often taken at face value.
You don't know who the dominant mob will be. You know, like, the worst thing you can say today, get you cancelled on Twitter, death threats, whatever, the worst thing you can say today is, women don't have penises, right? Now, no one saw that coming. There are no 10-year-old tweets of people.
One of the most challenging aspects of comedy is navigating the fine line between humor and offense. Comedians are often tasked with addressing difficult or contentious subjects in a way that makes people laugh while also encouraging them to think critically. However, this balancing act can be difficult to achieve, especially in a world where offense is often mistaken for harm. A joke that challenges societal norms or addresses a sensitive topic might be misunderstood or misinterpreted, leading to backlash against the comedian. Comedy often serves as a form of social commentary, providing insight into the issues and concerns of the day. Satirical humor in particular is effective in critiquing societal norms and highlighting the absurdities of certain beliefs or practices. The comedian's satirical take on gender identity and societal changes is a prime example of this. By using irony and exaggeration, the comedian comments on the confusion and controversy surrounding modern gender expressions, particularly the debate over transgender rights and identity.
Try and explain to someone every day what freedom of speech means, particularly in the context of comedy, and particularly in the context of a joke, that a joke about a bad thing isn't as bad as the bad thing. It's not even necessarily condoning the bad thing. It could be anti the bad thing. It depends on the actual joke. And this woman said, you should never make jokes about food allergies.
This satirical approach extends to the concept of virtue signaling, where individuals or groups make public displays of their moral or ethical values to elevate their social status. The comedian critiques this behavior, suggesting that it is often done at the expense of humor and genuine discourse. The idea that those who engage in virtue signaling are essentially patronizing minorities by assuming they lack a sense of humor is a provocative one, challenging the motives behind such actions. The comedian's self-awareness of their privileged position as a white heterosexual multimillionaire adds another layer to the social commentary. By acknowledging this privilege, the comedian draws attention to the fact that they are in the minority in this regard, highlighting the absurdity of some of the arguments made by those who claim to speak for marginalized groups. Offense is an inevitable part of comedy, particularly when dealing with sensitive or controversial topics. However, the way in which offense is perceived and handled can vary greatly. The comedian's approach to dealing with offensive material involves leading the audience through uncomfortable territory, ultimately guiding them to a place where they can find humor in the situation. This process requires a delicate balance of timing, delivery, and sensitivity to the audience's reactions.
I sent back, I make jokes about AIDS, cancer, famine, and the Holocaust, right? And you're telling me I should never joke about food allergies. She sent back, yes, but the Holocaust didn't kill children. Well, it did, didn't it?
One of the key points made by the comedian is that offense is often the result of a misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the joke's intent. People may take offense when they mistake the subject of a joke for its target, failing to see the deeper message or critique embedded within the humor. This confusion can lead to unnecessary outrage, particularly in a culture where people are quick to take offense without fully understanding the context. The idea that nothing should be considered sacred in comedy is central to the comedian's philosophy. By suggesting that everything should be subject to ridicule, the comedian argues for the importance of challenging ideas and beliefs through humor. This approach forces people to think more critically about their values and assumptions, even if it means occasionally causing offense. The notion that people should change their feelings rather than trying to change the facts is a provocative one, challenging the way in which society often prioritizes emotional reactions over rational discourse.
Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh. Those fucking dinosaurs. No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and cocks.
The comedian's satirical exploration of adopting a child from a third world country provides a final example of how humor can be used to critique societal norms. By exaggerating the moral superiority associated with charitable actions, the comedian highlights the absurdity of certain attitudes towards social responsibility. The idea that adopting a child could tick all the boxes of ethical behavior, addressing overpopulation, alleviating poverty, and providing a better life for the child, serves as a commentary on the way in which people often use charity as a way to boost their own moral standing. This satire extends to the way in which the comedian imagines interacting with the adopted child, using humor to critique the power dynamics inherent in such situations. By portraying the child as grateful and eager to repay the comedian's generosity, the comedian exposes the underlying assumptions and expectations that often accompany acts of charity. This exaggerated scenario serves to highlight the complexities of social responsibility and the ways in which it can be both genuine and self-serving. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying the power of his unapologetic humor. So as the laughter fades and the reality of his words sinks in, remember this: comedy isn't just about making us laugh. It's about making us think. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay bold, stay questioning, and keep laughing at the absurdity of it all.